President Lee Jae-myung, during a special talk hosted by Arirang TV on Wednesday, said culture is by its nature free and promises to nourish Korean culture so that it can thrive in new and bold forms. A pledge in line with his administration's goal of positioning South Korea as one of the world's leading cultural powerhouses. Also joining the chat, K-pop The Next Chapter included the director of KPop Demon Hunters, Maggie Kang, and Twice's Jihyo and Jonghyun, exploring the path ahead for Korean pop culture and K-pop. And they say authenticity is key to K-culture's future. North Korea's Kim Yo-jong says South Korea cannot be a diplomatic counterpart to the North. Seoul's top office says the DE administration's proactive measures are for stability and prosperity for the two Koreas. President Lee Jae-myung, who has long highlighted the borderless power of a culture, appeared on a special Arirang TV program today. He joined industry icons to discuss ways to make Korean culture more global. Our President Office correspondent Song Yoo-jin starts us off.
Wearing a sky blue jacket instead of his usual dark suit, South Korean President Lee Jae-myung on Wednesday joined a star-studded panel on Arirang TV's special program, K-pop The Next Chapter. The president was joined by Maggie Kang, writer and director of the Netflix hit K-pop Demon Hunters, girl group Twice members Jihyo and Jonghyun, producer RT, and music critic Kim Yo-jong, to discuss the future of K-pop and more broadly, the K-culture industry. Reflecting on the global boom in Korean culture, President Lee emphasized that its potential is far from exhausted.
How far do you think South Korea has come as a cultural heavyweight?
지금 우리가 좀 문화가 강한 나라로 향해 들어가고 있죠. 가장 한국적인 것이 가장 세계적인. 우리 자신감을 가져도 된다니까.
For that to happen, the president underscored the need for a solid support system, pointing out that government investment in culture has been lacking for decades.
정말 이런 위대한 작품이나 예술가들이 나온다는 것 자체가 정말 대단하지 않습니까? 그렇죠. 기적에 가깝다고 보실 것 같아요. 정부 입장에서는 정말 길게 보고 문화 산업을 키우되 문화적 토양도 대대적인 투자 지원을 해서 더 많은 사람들이 도전할 수 있게, 학습할 수 있게.
At the same time, he also reaffirmed his administration's principle of supporting without interference.
문화는 자유로움을 본질로 하는데요. 자유로워야 되잖아요. 개성이 있어야 되고 창의적이라야 되고 영혼이 자유로워야 되는데 블랙리스트니 뭐 이래서 감시하고 규제하고 선별하고 이러니까 사실 현장에서 문화예술이 좀 죽어가는 측면도 있는데 이제 자유로운 환경을 만들어주고 물도 많이 줘서 잘 자랄 수 있게 해주고 그 안에서 경쟁해서 또 새로운 영역도 생겨나고.
The hour-long program explored ways to further expand the global reach of Korean culture. Panelists suggested creating arena-style performance venues and more opportunities to showcase not only K-pop, but a wider range of genres. Building on this, the Lee administration aims to position South Korea as one of the world's leading cultural powerhouses. Song Yoo-jin, Arirang News.
So K-pop's future was in the spotlight at Arirang today, with President Lee Jae-myung joining artists and experts to discuss how authenticity and diversity will shape the next chapter of Korean popular culture. Our Pyun Young has more.
K-pop has proven its global cultural and economic impact, with K-pop Demon Hunters emerging as the latest testament to its power. On Wednesday, Arirang hosted a special talk, K-pop The Next Chapter, bringing together President Lee Jae-myung, Twice's Jihyo and Jonghyun, director Maggie Kang, producer RT, and music critic Kim Yo-jong. They were joined by young talents and 100 global fans online who show keen interest in the film's success. Asked why she chose K-pop as a theme for her directorial debut, Kang cited the unique blend of demonology and pop as her inspiration.
I wanted to see a film that showcases Korean culture through animation. The imagery of demons and Korean grim reapers felt unique, something I hadn't really seen in the mainstream. That sense of originality naturally led to the story of Demon Hunters.
Hung added that studios had long been searching for a K-pop-centered film and credited the movie's striking editorial style, bright colors, and bold visuals reminiscent of fashion magazines for the appeal of beloved characters like Derpy, Sassy, and the Saja Boys.
The image of the Grim Reaper is so iconic and cool. That's why I wanted to shoot the final scene almost like a real music video. I wanted to show our culture openly, without hiding anything or adding explanations.
Panelists emphasized the importance of presenting Korean culture authentically, without dilution or over-explanation. Critic Kim Yo-jong underscored authenticity as the key to K-culture's future.
If authenticity and identity are brought into harmony going forward, that alone will be enough.
The discussion also delved into the sustainability of K-pop and challenges the industry must overcome. Twice's Chi-ho spoke candidly about the need for mental health awareness in idol life.
With a busy schedule and constant attention, there were times when it was challenging. I wish we'd had more opportunities to focus on mental well-being, or some training for it during our trainee days.
Music producer RT pointed to the need for broader artistic diversity and better infrastructure in order to continuously add color to K-pop.
We need more artists across different genres, so there's more to see and hear. We also need more venues where they can perform, and greater media exposure so the public can discover them more easily.
In closing, the panel agreed that K-pop's power lies not only in its idols, but also in its ability to expand and embrace authenticity. With creativity and cultural pride at its core, they noted K-pop is well positioned to keep evolving and leave a lasting mark in the history of global pop culture. Hyun Ye-young, Arirang News.
Just as you think that there's no more to talk about the major hit Netflix movie KPop Demon Hunters, our An Sung-jin took an in-depth look to see what makes the movie so special behind the mere appeal for its catchy songs and a craze for K-pop.
Worldwide hit, global musical sensation, potential goldmine. The craze continues for the K-pop Demon Hunters. From being Netflix's most watched animated film of all time to its Billboard-topping original soundtrack, its monstrous success reflects K-pop's growing influence in the mainstream.
The songs are really nice, and I think that it opened more and more people to K-pop. Like, even my mother watched it. And I think that it's a good opportunity for Korea to open up to the world even.
Scenes with iconic K-pop idol light sticks or fan meetings put the spotlight on Korea's unique fan culture as well. But forget about the mere appeal of K-pop aesthetics. The film embeds a subtle but certain authenticity of Korean culture, offering a pathway into the expansion of Korean content for its global viewers.
I think it was in the beginning of the movie, it was eating the ramyeon and eating the bibimbap. I think in the plane, that was very culture. I really liked it as well. Made me crave to want to eat Korean food. It's like small exposure, but a very good exposure for them to visit Korea.
Members of the girl group Huntrix all perform with their signature dorige, often worn with the traditional attire to symbolize good fortune and wealth. Ancient fortresses or Namsan Tower, as well as public bathhouses and Haniwon, or traditional Korean medicine clinics, accurately portray the everyday life beyond the niche elements in the entertainment industry. Food like kimbap and ramyeon, as well as Korean dining customs, highlight the details, and the characters bring life to folk art paintings such as takhodo. Searches related to Korea and Korean food also hiked, with the latter surging up to 75% before the release, making many in the tourism or cosmetics industries expecting an economic boost.
Not only is it very well made, but it's the Korean elements that become interesting and refreshing for Western viewers. With their popularity, these films serve as culture ambassadors, often more effective than government campaigns.
What makes Korean content like the animated film so beloved is the fact that it resonates with local authenticity and intertwines tradition, modern K-pop, and everyday elements, making it relatable in and outside of the country. An Sung-jin, Arirang News.
Yet another criticism from North Korea on Wednesday, this time decrying the South's peace efforts. While here in Seoul, the president's office clarified its conciliatory overtures toward the North, seeking stability for the two Koreas. Our Moon Hae-ryun has the details.
South Korea's presidential office has responded to North Korea's criticism of its efforts to restore inter-Korean trust, stating that the administration's proactive measures for peace are not intended to appease anyone. On Wednesday, the top office emphasized that the government will leave behind the era of hostility and confrontation and open a new era of peaceful coexistence and shared growth on the Korean peninsula. The Ministry of Unification added that mutual respect between the South and the North is essential to building a Korean peninsula peace that benefits people on both sides. North Korea's Kim Yo-jong, the powerful sister of Kim Jong-un, had earlier launched sharp criticism against President Lee, declaring that South Korea cannot be a diplomatic counterpart to Pyongyang. According to the state-run Korean Central News Agency, Kim convened a meeting with senior foreign ministry officials on Tuesday to convey her brother's foreign policy directives. In her remarks, Kim accused the Lee administration of putting on what she called serious efforts to appear interested in improving inter-Korean ties, but claimed Seoul's confrontational intent remains unchanged. She singled out President Lee's recent comment that small acts of goodwill could rebuild trust between the two Koreas, dismissing it as delusion and a pipe dream. Kim further argued that decades of South Korea's rotten political system show that, whether under conservative or liberal governments, Seoul's stance towards the North has not changed. Kim denounced the ongoing Ulti Freedom Shield joint military exercise with the United States as a rehearsal for invasion and highlighted a new operational plan, Plan 5022, which he claimed targets North Korea's nuclear and missile capabilities at an early stage. The plan, signed last year to replace Plan 5015, is designed to prepare the allies for potential conflict on the Korean peninsula, reflecting North Korea's more advanced nuclear and missile threats. Kim's remarks come as Pyongyang prepares to convene its Supreme People's Assembly on September 20th, where economic and legal issues are on the agenda, though the possibility of constitutional changes has not been ruled out. Moon Hae-ryun, Arirang News.
In other news, the nation's petrochemical industry was once flying and a big part of the nation's exports. And now it only posts losses with only obstacles ahead. So government officials today met to discuss this and how to support Korean firms. Our Kim Do-yeon has this report.
The government is moving to revamp Korea's struggling petrochemical industry. At the Lee Jae-myung administration's first high-level meeting on industrial competitiveness on Wednesday, officials laid out directions for restructuring an industry that once boomed but now struggles.
Despite clear warnings of global oversupply from China and the Middle East, Korea's petrochemical firms expanded capacity during the boom years and missed the window to move into higher value products.
The Deputy Prime Minister also said that the top 10 companies in the industry agreed to cut as much as 3.7 million tons of their naphtha cracking capacity, or NCC, core production facilities. Including this cutting excess capacity, the government has laid out a three-pronged plan with strengthened finances and to cushion local economies and jobs. Support will hinge on three principles: industry-wide restructuring, credible self-help plans, and a full government support package. This comes against the backdrop of the nation's petrochemical industry seeing huge losses in recent years. South Korea's Big Four, Lotte Chemical, LG Chem, Hanwha Solutions, and Kumho Petrochemical earned over 9 trillion won, about $6.7 billion in 2021. But last year, they swung to a loss of nearly 900 billion won, or $650 million. And with first half losses this year already nearing 500 billion won, the industry is on track for even deeper deficit.
If the government deems industry plans sincere, it will step in with timely support, from R&D and competitiveness measures to regulatory relief, financing, and tax breaks. But companies that delay restructuring or try to free ride will be cut off from assistance and dealt with firmly.
Koo underscored that Korea already has a strong precedent, shipbuilding, which staged a dramatic comeback through painful restructuring. If petrochemicals follow that path, he said, the industry too can achieve a powerful resurgence. 김도현, 아리랑 뉴스.
U.S. President Donald Trump pledged a lot of help to Ukraine during his summit with President Volodymyr Zelensky on Monday. But by Tuesday, he made it clear there will be no U.S. troops on the ground in Ukraine, leaving only air support as a possible option. Our Park Hyo-bin reports.
U.S. President Donald Trump on Tuesday, during an interview with Fox News, gave his assurance that U.S. troops will not be on the ground in Ukraine. Later, the White House doubled down on that during a briefing.
The president has definitively stated U.S. boots will not be on the ground in Ukraine.
That statement was in contrast to remarks made the previous day when he appeared to leave the option on the table during the summit with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky.
There'll be a lot of help. When it comes to security, there's going to be a lot of help. It's going to be good. They are first line of defense because they're there. They're Europe. But we're going to help them out also. We'll be involved.
Still, Washington indicated that air support could be considered as part of any eventual settlement to end the conflict. Trump, speaking to Fox News, said the U.S. is willing to help, especially probably through the air. The White House said that air support remains possible.
It is an option and a possibility. I won't certainly rule out anything as far as military options that the president has at his disposal. I'll let him do that. I can tell you he's definitively ruled out boots on the ground.
In addition, Trump declared that Ukraine's long-standing ambitions of joining NATO and reclaiming Crimea from Russia were impossible. Russia wants Ukraine to withdraw from Donetsk and Luhansk and to recognize Crimea as Russian territory in exchange for a possible troop pullout. Meanwhile, when U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent was asked on Fox News about whether Budapest could be a possible city for the three-way talks, as had been reported, he said that it could be the case, but that the bilateral meeting between Zelensky and Putin needed to happen first. Hungary is among the few European countries Putin could visit without the risk of arrest under an international criminal court warrant, given Prime Minister Viktor Orban's close ties with Moscow. Alongside discussions over a potential summit venue, leaders at the Washington talks on Monday revisited the idea of establishing a Korean-style buffer zone protected by multinational troops, according to EU sources. Park Hyo-bin, Arirang News.
Tensions are escalating between the rival parties in South Korea's National Assembly ahead of Thursday's plenary session, where contentious bills are set to be addressed. For more on the key legislation and what lies ahead this week, we turn to our political correspondent, Shin Ha-young. Welcome back, Ha-young.
Good evening, Tammy.
So, Ha-young, there had been a dispute between the rival parties over this week's plenary session schedule, but that has been adjusted by bipartisan agreement, hasn't it?
You're right. So initially, the ruling Democratic Party had planned to hold plenary sessions from Thursday to Sunday to push ahead with contentious bills that were left unresolved during the July extraordinary session. But the rival parties agreed not to bring up bills on Friday, the day of the main opposition People Power Party convention, and instead add another session next Monday. And the agreement came after the PPP asked National Assembly Speaker Woo Won-sik to delay the sessions until after its convention, while the DP wanted to stick to the original schedule.
Return immediately to a politics of dialogue and communication.
Attempts to spoil the opposition's convention will surely be judged by the people.
Yesterday, Speaker Woo urged both parties to discuss it further, and they later met with him to finalize the changes. And as a result, the contentious bills will be put to a vote during the upcoming plenary sessions, except on Friday, while filibusters will be launched by the PPP against the remaining bills that it argues are being pushed forward without bipartisan agreement.
So, Ha-young, the schedule has been adjusted. That's good for now, but the rival parties still remain at odds over key bills. What's on the table?
Well, first of all, on Thursday, which is tomorrow, one of the remaining media reform bills aimed at changing how the heads of public broadcasters are appointed, this time targeting NBC, will be put to a vote. And the bill was introduced by the DP during the previous plenary session, but was not voted on as the July extraordinary session came to to a close at midnight following a PPP filibuster. And following Thursday's vote, the DP plans to immediately introduce another media reform bill targeting EBS, which is expected to trigger another filibuster by the PPP. And the bill is expected to be put to a vote on Saturday, while the so-called Yellow Envelope Bill and a revision to the Commercial Act are scheduled to be addressed one after another. And the Yellow Envelope Bill is essentially an amendment to labor union laws that limits employer actions against striking union members, including retaliatory measures. And the PPP has repeatedly emphasized that many businesses, both in Korea and abroad, are concerned about the bill, and the government and ruling party should consider revising it rather than forcing it through. Let's hear what the businesses have to say.
That the passage of the Yellow Envelope Act in the National Assembly could affect Korea's reputation as a regional hub for multinational companies.
However, the DP hasn't changed its plan to push the bill through, and President Lee Jae-myung also made it clear that it should meet global standards, showing he's determined to see it passed. Take a listen.
Regarding the Yellow Envelope Act, the president said that there are certain aspects that need to be aligned with those of advanced countries, and workers' rights should meet global standards.
A revision to the Commercial Act aims to strengthen corporate governance transparency and protect minority shareholders' rights, particularly within large corporations. And all these bills are being championed by the DP, while the PPP remains staunchly opposed.
Right, so tensions will be running high throughout the upcoming plenary sessions. But the question is there any chance of bipartisan cooperation, Ha-young?
Well, the growing tensions between the ruling and opposition parties are evident even outside the plenary sessions. And recently, the party leaders have met at several events but maintained a tense atmosphere. In fact, on Monday, they sat side by side at a memorial service for the late former President Kim Yo-jong, but they neither shook hands nor made eye contact, just staring straight ahead as if the other weren't there. And a similar scene was captured during last Friday's Liberation Day ceremony. And amid all this, with confirmation hearings for education and gender equality ministers still upcoming, tensions between the rival parties are expected to rise. And given the current strain, it may be too early to say whether there will be room for bipartisan cooperation, but it's certainly something to watch as the August sessions unfold.
Indeed. Do keep us posted on the upcoming plenary sessions. Ha-young, thank you so much for coming in tonight.
My pleasure.
With hot conditions everywhere, heatwave warning areas have been further expanded to some central and northern parts of Gyeongsang-Buk-do province today. There were many places where the daytime temperature rose to around 35 degrees Celsius, with Samcheok and Pohang reaching 36 degrees. This heat will continue day and night for the time being. In particular, the daytime temperature in Seoul will rise to 33 degrees on Saturday, which is Cheoseok on the traditional calendar, a season when the heat will go away and a cool autumn will come back. Tomorrow morning, Seoul, Daejeon, Gwangju, and Daegu will start off at 25 degrees. Daily highs will go up to 32 degrees in Seoul and Busan, Daegu and Gyeongju 35 degrees. Showers are forecast in Gyeonggi-do, northern parts of Gangwon-do, Jeollanam-do and Gyeongsangnam-do provinces tomorrow. That's all for Korea. Here are the weather conditions around the world.
That is all we have for tonight. I'm Kim Dami. For all of us here at Arirang, thanks for watching and good night.